be posing to both of you. Um, so you can, I'll be asking both of you to answer similar kind of questions first, and then um, going to individual questions pertaining to your firms. Then we will be going for a QA session. So basically, uh, 40 minutes of discussion with me, and then 15 minutes of discussion with the participants. And then one last point will be, what would you both like to share to the participants, or the enthusiastic students who are there with us. Um, there are many colleges with whom we are collaborating, so they also participate to learn and expose themselves towards startups and the idea of startup entrepreneurship. So uh, we would like you to give one last comment from your end to interest them as to how they can be a startup too, or
Sure.
what would you like to envision India in future. It depends on you what you want to say. So this is how our 1 hour is going to be. And uh, when it comes to a session, um, we request, if possible, we would like to record the session. So I would like to take your permission to record the session.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
completely.
Not an issue.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Excuse me, there's some dust. Yeah. So it is 5:04, so we'll wait for a minute or two, and we will start. The participants are still joining, so let's wait for a couple of minutes more and then start the event.
Yeah, sure, completely.
Yeah, yeah. So I request the organizers to start, the organizing team to start the recording, and we are heading towards the event now. Thank you all participants for participating. So here we are again meeting this Saturday for another coffee break Saturday. Very interesting, and probably another highly expertise exposure for all of us. So here we have two dynamic uh, speakers for us today from very interesting fields. One is Mr. Mahesh.
Manash. Sorry, it is Manas.
Sorry. Manash.
But
Man- Manash. Okay. Kindly excuse me for that.
not.
Sorry, sir. Um Mr. Manash, and uh, the second speaker is Mr. Aditya. Here we have two interesting startups coming up with very, very interesting concepts. One, it's evening, and we have a platform, Home Eats, and another which does branding. So, namaskar, welcome to
Namaskar.
this
Thank you.
wonderful
Good
event.
evening.
I'm not going to give the details of their achievements because we are here to know what their achievements are from them. So, my first inquisitivity towards having you both here, and I'm sure each and everybody present here would be wanting to know how did you come up with this startup of yours? What is the story behind it? Everything has a story behind, right? So, we would like to know the story behind your startup. How did you start? What made you start this startup of yours?
Yeah, sure. Um, it started. See, the thing about startup is I've been always been interested in the creative field. Like even from childhood, I've been into arts and crafts and all. And in the beginning, I came from. I come from originally a small town. You might not have heard about Kuchbihar. It's a district and town in northern side of West Bengal. And back in my school days there was an internet, so the exposure to the outside world wasn't there much, and I was given with the options of either medical or engineering. And as you know about engineers, that if you don't know what you want to do, you join engineering and then figure out. That's what happened to me. I joined engineering, and then I came to Bhubaneswar, where I stay now, and figure out, okay, the creative side also has an entire career that I can pursue. And when I got accustomed to that, I was like, okay, I found my calling. And I initially started through freelancing in my college days. And when the college days were over, I decided to, why not do with this in full time instead of sitting in placement and all. And then slowly it grew a little, and I was more confident about it, and I switched to the startup field instead.
So how do I call your enterprise?
Yeah,
XAS?
sure. Yeah, it doesn't have a very common name, so the pronunciation will be XAXs Corps.
Oh, so very interesting. Very interesting. So how did you come up with that name?
That's an interesting story, to be honest. It doesn't exactly have a cool meaning or something. I just love the alphabet X. The letter X is my favorite alphabet, and it starts with my username on social media. Like if you go on social media, I am excluding LinkedIn. I'm Xandria Dexes everywhere. It's a complicated name as well. What happened is when I finally started Facebook in class 11, back then the search algorithm of Facebook wasn't that developed. And my name is Aditya Roy, and it's a very common name. And that's also when the Aditya Roy Kapoor, Bollywood star, made his debut. So So I thought, okay, I do something with the ink that makes it. So I added a few letters. I just knew that that has to be an other thing. Then I just played with around a little and found my username, which is Bhubaneswar. And when I slowly started to develop a brand on the side, that was much later in my college days and all. Then one second I decided to make something that's sounds a bit similar to my personal username, and something that sounds a little different, and it has X, and something that's a little smaller because Xandrit is not something people can pronounce easily, and that's fine for me because as a person I don't mind much. But for a startup, it has to be something that can be spelled easily. So I shortened it, played a little, and found out okay, it sounds cool. There's no any big meaning behind it. I just wanted it to be unique and a bit cool because back then I was a little younger. Fortunately, it doesn't sound creepy because in younger days people generally come with something that sounds cool back then, but later grow up and find, oh, that's a bit creepy. Luckily, that wasn't my case, and I continued with the name. It also helped in getting the domain and incorporation because it's not something anyone else was trying to register.
So, uh, so we have a very interesting concept, right? It is always said that you perform the best when you have your hobbies and your ideas, your likings linked with your work. So here we have Mr. Aditya, who wanted to be unique, did not want to be recognized as Aditya Roy Kapoor, who was the debutant star of the year way back when he was just in 11th standard. A 17-year-old, I think 16, 17, that is the age you were in. So
Yeah,
at
something
that
like that.
age itself, you demonstrated that how you wanted to be a unique personality. And here you are today having the firm Jax with letter X, which is your favorite letter, making an impact as a startup. And that's remarkable. You see, जहाँ जान है वहाँ जहान है. That's what it means. That if you have the temperament to be unique and do something interesting with that uniqueness, you are somewhere and showing yourself off with your experience to others. Wonderful, Mr. Aditya ji, to have you here today. And now I move to the next speaker, Manash
Yeah,
ji,
yeah,
please.
sure. So I started my career, from designing. Okay, I was a graphic designer, and then you have seen like unpleasant employees, right? I mean, they work, but they don't like that work much, right? After some days, so I started designing a lot. Then it it was not so interesting. The same thing I have to design this that. Then after that, I entered to BPO sometimes. Then I joined Flipkart. Almost around 6 years I worked there. Learned a lot. Then I joined a company called Milmila Tech. That's a startup company actually. And the 3 years actually, turned me, to really, do something. The 3 years actually taught me a lot from the scratch. I learned how to create UI, how to create UX, then how to create the business processes, business model, and then how the e-commerce works, right? So gathering this experience, Flipkarts and Milmelas, right, it actually make me to think, do something. It's not a regular job we should do. So I then after that, for sometimes I was heading the complete e-commerce for Royal Oak India, that furniture company. So I created their UX and the website things and all. After 2 3 months, then I quit. Then I started my own. I created my UX, from Milmila days only to 2020, the pandemic, right? During the pandemic. So I had seen a lot of things. Like I used to stay in Bangalore, in Whitefield, off Whitefield Road. Okay, and I have seen people, they don't come out in pandemic time, and the neighbor's apartment is, do a mom and daughter, right? So they couldn't get the food, and me and my friend, we cooked khichdi and we just parcel them, right? So 1 week completely we've given them whatever we know we cooked and we gave them. Then we thought, why Zomato is not going? Why Swiggy is not going? They are taking the food from the restaurants, right? And they're giving to them. But at the same time, if home cooked food would be delivered to them, and they are happy to eat, and they can like the unhealthy people, or like the sick, right? They can depend on the home cooked food. Why can't home cooked food can be a a new startup, right? So we thought then and there. Then we started, thinking. We created, the UX UI. Almost 2 months POC we did. Within three, apartments, right? When I used to stay in the Final Kingdom, and neighbor is Ram Greenfield, Prestige. So within these 2, 3 apartments, almost around 500 orders we did in 3 years, 3 months. That November 15th to January end almost, we did this, and we realized that time came to register a company and just give a name to this. From a basic UI, we created this application. We given a name, Home Eats, right? Eats means food. Home means that started from home itself. So home food, home meals, and we started this. Always I used to uh, do something for the society, and this I think will help us to generate the employment, and generate the revenue more and more. The people, we educate the housewives, the homemakers, right? Mostly the homemakers, be women or men, we don't mind, but 99%, 99.9% we empower the women, and we ask them to join us and do something really great. If they are free and they are not doing anything, and really their hobby is to cook, or cook something really great. So it is. And myself, I am a good cook as well. I used to love to make biryani and eat myself. That's it.
That's very interesting. So, you might have understood, participants today, that age is not a barrier. Here we have a very, yeah, young Aditya who started his enterprise startup, and here we have Mr. Manash, who has had a journey in the corporate sector, tried his hand in the industry, learned in the process, and today he has started his own startup. So startup is not something that is meant only for college students, is what our discussion today is all about. But yes, it is also for young minds to come up and build something.
Sure.
That is also exhibited in today's discussion. So we have two different personalities with two different experiences coming up today and sharing their experience as to how they have come up with this startup of theirs. So coming to the uh, very, very important aspect, when you're saying that it is home cooked food, and you are connecting with housewives. So
Homemakers,
how do
mostly
you,
homemakers. Yeah.
yeah, homemakers, how do you manage and maintain the um, requirements for quality and government certifications?
Sure. So, see, we know everyone, for a restaurant or a completely what do you say, hotel and restaurant, right? They have their own fasai, right? You can say that is fasai. Fasai, commercial fasais actually. So they need, but for the housewives, they don't need commercial fasai. They need basic fasai, right? So we offer, initially we offer them the basic first size freely. That is 100 rupees, and some fees it is to take, and 200 mostly, right? So that is the minimum charge. We used to, like provide from our end only. We used to, like give them the FSI license. Of course, we take the people to check, like quality checks, like random audits for their kitchen audits, right? They used to check their kitchen. They used to, all whatever the, like safety requirements or the quality requirements are there, the other restaurants, we used to take care of that by doing this only. We already, like managed to have the executive, interns actually, we kept for the hotel management students. So they used to go there and check the food also sometimes. They used to, like audit the kitchen. Okay, the kitchen should be like this, should be very neat. There should not be, like cross contamination, right? There are a lot of things are there. The chimney should be very clean, and there should not be oil should be not down, like from the chimney to the, like boil. So those things we used to take care. Okay, we, like of course that is random audits we used to do, and that's it. Because no one should, like cook for his family or her family, like the worst things, right? You can see the, I can understand the restaurant can have the, like sadawa tomato, it can have, but the, like the houses or the homes, right? My mom or my wife, right? They cannot cook, like the completely, like sadawa tomato or piyaz, right? So that they cannot. It's the, and we don't want our chefs to be completely, like a big, what do you say, business women or business, a big entrepreneur. Yeah, we make them womenpreneurs. How it is, you can easily, like earn up to 30,000 or 40,000, and also you should take care of your family. It doesn't mean that if you, everything, you just leave everything and, like सब कुछ छोड़ो and, like लग जाओ इस पे ही cook करो और खाना बनाते रहो, right? The family will be ruined, and their husband will be like cursing us, right? That should not happen. Okay, so that we used to take care. Also, that, like me, or, like you, if you are staying outside, where do you stay, by the way, madam?
I am from Pune.
Pune. Okay, great. But I think you are from Kerala, right?
Yes.
Basically, yes. Tell me something. You are staying in Pune, and any moment from Zomato or Swiggy, are you getting, like mutton curry with idiyappam? No, right? You'll not get. Quite sure you'll not get. Or, like Aditya cannot get also, like if he's staying in Bhubaneswar or somewhere else, but he cannot get the typically or basic sorcerer match, right? Right, Aditya? So
Yeah,
this
it's
is,
difficult.
yes. So this is how it is. I myself, when I'm staying in Bangalore, I cannot really expect, like dahi vada aloo dum from Bhubaneswar, or, like my style, like aloo bhaja or something, right? I cannot get it. So that is how we made it, and we are getting it here now. You trust me, within these 3 months of POC, around 30 to 40 brands we created, small brands, not non-registered. Okay, we didn't register them, but we created their logo, we created their, like what do you say, stores. Okay, so the people, they know in their store name is, like, let's say example, like Mita's Kitchen, or, Millie's Cafe, Millie's Bakery. So like that, we created their logo, and, like their stores we have created. So the people, they already started knowing them by their name only. I mean the brand only. So we created their brand, and they started, like making, like amka achar, this that, and we also gained one more, like category here. We added the category that is homemade product. We want them to be a retailer as well. Like, let's say example, if we'll come to, like Odisha, so these people used to have something called as arisapita, right? So that is, something, they don't use preservative, and, like you will be surprised that will last at least 6 months, at least. Okay, and my mom used to make the pickle every time I go home, right? I'm basically from Odisha, but I'm staying here, uh, though. Every time I used to go home, I used to get, like this, homemade ghee, homemade honey, or you can say, like this, mango pickle. And those things I'm using almost 6 months or 8 months. If I can use that, that can be person through, like that can be parceled, or that can be, like sent, delivered to different part of India also, right? And they can be retailer as well. Why not?
Very interesting indeed. Manash ji, you are bringing homemade food to the people, and most importantly, you are including those who are socially excluded. So, a very interesting sustainable development goal is being achieved by you. It's very, very interesting to know about your endeavor. Coming to Aditya ji, um, you are into providing branding solutions. So, what kind of solutions are you providing?
But the term branding is quite a broad term, and it's nice to know that Mr. Manas was also into graphic designing because that's what I also do currently. It's part of branding, and the concept of branding is it's usually starts with a logo, and then we expand on it. People usually have a wrong understanding of what a brand is. A brand is not necessarily the company itself or the logo itself. It's more about what the audience, the customer, the average people thinks about the company. That's how you turn a company into a brand. And it's that gap that I'm focusing to bridge because here in Bhubaneswar or overall in India, the concept of the modern concept of branding is not that well established. Of course, you find big brands doing it; they understand it, but the mom and pop shops, the MSME sector, they don't understand it that well, and they cannot afford the much bigger agencies who work with the Fortune 500 brands. So it's that gap I'm focusing on bridging. Um, and it's also the concept gap, as I said, because for example, when you approach some local agency or a local person to get your branding done, they usually stay limited to the logo and a few posters or something like that. But when we approach for branding, what we do is we don't just start with the logo. We develop a brand guide. We make sure that there is different variations of the logo that can go with different uses of it. We keep the usage in mind. Then, if necessary, we handle the packaging as well. It's not compulsory. Of course, it depends on the sector. Not everyone needs a packaging. Then we provide the stationery designs, and we make sure that everything goes together with each other. And we also make sure that it's something that's custom, because nowadays there's a lot of stock sites which have their role. There's nothing wrong with the stock sites, but when it comes to branding, you need to have something that's your own, and that's also a gap that we're focusing on bridging.
So you do the marketing as well for them, is it?
That's not exactly the focus, but we do digital marketing,
Okay.
especially the social media part, because digital marketing it's a very wide platform
I
now.
know, I
It's
know, I know.
Yeah, so content marketing is something that's very useful because
Are you doing
instead of
content marketing?
yeah, yeah,
SEO, SEO also.
yeah, SEO also, but we don't do the paid the Google ads. So we are limited to ads in the social media because it's something that works better on the long term. What happens with paid ads is they are useful, they
Organic,
work, but
mostly
yeah,
organic.
it's not organic. It's the organic growth that we're focusing on because the concept of a brand, it takes time longer. It takes longer to have an organic reach, but it's the organic reach that also stays longer. It's also that in the long term develops the brand of
Yeah.
your company. You're not just pushing your product; you're developing the brand.
Very interesting, Aditya, that you have started digital marketing, being an engineer, and it is very important to understand the linkages between different streams because streams of specializations and connecting them. I was into teaching, and I used to always. Um, tell my students that don't limit yourself to the field that you are in because there may be something that is linked to some other field, and that interdisciplinary approach is so important for being innovative. You see, creating something, for that creativity to come out, it is so important to have that kind of an exposure, that kind of a thought process, and thanks to Government of India thinking to come up with the new education policy, there is a possibility, a great possibility of having interdisciplinary studies within the kind of graduation that you are taking up. So if you are interested in digital marketing, then you don't need to actually study marketing in your masters in MBA, but you can do it during your graduation. You can study it from your 11th or 12th grade itself. So that kind of an exposure is going to actually be very, very interesting. And you make that point, more and more applicable. You see, being an engineer, you are into digital marketing. Yes, there's a lot of engineering factor to it, but there is also a lot of business application aspect, marketing aspect related to it. There is also a lot of creativity from, kindly excuse me, from
Yeah, sure.
the fine arts department, which is designing the logos and other things that you are requiring. So it blends so many departments, so many streams to build something into a startup. That's very, very important, is what I feel. And yes, coming generation is going to have that kind of an exposure, and that is a very, very welcome thing. I will not talk too much because I want my speakers to talk, but this is a topic which I can go on and on and on, because it is so important. Being a teacher, I understand the importance of knowing different things. It's not just economics that I should know. I should know other things also. I should know stats. I should know marketing. Otherwise, I will not understand what is happening. I should know what are the new developments in the industry. I should know where the engineering fraternity is in terms of developing, be it the machinery or be it the development in the chemical science. It's so important for us to be aware as well as inquisitive in developing something which can stand out in the market. And that is what is startup industry all about, isn't it? That is all about startup industry, and that is why developing a startup ecosystem is very important.
Very
So,
true. Very
isn't
true.
it? Yes. So here we have two interesting personalities. I'm so mesmerized with the idea of having both of you here, because Aditya, you are also into a sustainable concept, which is inclusivity, wherein small MSME and SME sector is not very proactive in terms of digital marketing or marketing itself, for that matter, because many a times either they are not aware, and even if they are aware, they don't know how to execute their marketing strategy, how to brand themselves, and that too at a cost effective manner. I think that is where you hit the nail, and the strategy is very interesting. Whenever I used to visit uh, you know uh, industry meets organized by CII or any of the CEO or any such organizations, the first thing that I used to observe was that the MSME sector, SME, especially the small enterprises, did not have their own representation in a manner that they can showcase themselves in the best manner, showcase their products in the best manner. And I think internet cloud computing has made it more accessible for them at a cost effective manner, and you are making the most of it, and that is what is giving me a lot of pleasure. It is not just Aditya but also Manash who is developing it for women who are into it. It's not just women. I think it is gender inclusive when he himself says that he loves to cook, and that idea is very very fascinating for me, because I know most of the chefs in the world are men. The chef industry is dominated by men, but we always state that cooking is the work of the women of the family.
I think I'm little bit like not agree to this part because see there is no such work defined for a gender, right? Men should do this, but women should do that, right? I like my wife is in. I mean, she is into engineering, and she is assistant executive engineer for KEB, Karnataka Electricity Board. Sometimes like for the like emergencies he has to run, right? So who will cook then? I have to cook sometimes, right? I used to cook, and it doesn't mean that like only women have to cook, right? Men can cook as well, and of course women are much more better chef than men actually, if you'll be seeing, right? That is for sure.
So
I
it is
also,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
I would like to add something. See,
Yeah,
unfortunately, in the society, we have a stigma in our, social norms and stuff.
correct.
In this case, it's a norm or a stigma, you may call it, that is the woman, the most usually the eldest woman in the family who cooks. And I think it's very wrong to limit people like that, because besides someone someone might enjoy cooking, someone might just do it because they need to,
They
but
have to.
overall cooking is something, it's a very basic survival skill. It's something you don't have to love it, but you
Sure.
need to at least know that you can cook if necessary, because like when you are hungry, social stigma is not going to come and save you. You have to figure out something. So it's a basic survival skill that I think everyone should know. They don't have to love it or do it regularly, but it's something that everyone should at least know that they can do it if necessary.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Very interesting to know that there is a sea change in societal understanding of uh, gender divide, gender combinations, and gender related identities. It is interesting to know that globally it is stated that developing world does not have a understanding of gender equity, and here we have two young dynamic personalities who are challenging it, that we in India are gender fluid. Very interesting. So I think here itself we are having, the governmental goals of sustainable development, which they are committed to, the UN, are coming into reality. Very interesting. Coming to a very important question. uh, we all would be fascinated with the idea of business that these two young Turks are doing, but we would also like to know how well they are performing in terms of monetary benefits. So, if you could share, I don't want the actuals, but at least if you could share as to how you are managing the finances, the revenue part. That would be very interesting for all of us to know, because uh, for people to get inspired from you, yes, inspiration is there, but for them to actually become a startup and engage into a startup, I think money is also important. So we would like to know three things from you. One, uh, When you started, from where did you source yourselves in terms of the finances which you required? Two, did you get any funding from outside? Three, what kind of revenue are you generating? So, starting from Aditya this time.
Yeah, sure. Uh, I have one advantage, which is it's a service-based company. So the overhead is not that big because I don't have to invest on the products and all. And although I have been doing the this as a freelance for quite a long time before finally registering and stuff, as a company it's still in the initial phases. So I won't say that I'm getting rich at the moment, but I'm not having trouble in handling the regular expenses. Like I can take care of myself and stuff like that. And currently, I'm not working with full-time employees at the moment, which is the next target. At the moment, I'm working with interns and all, developing their skills so that I can hand up more responsibility to them, and then employ them as full-time eventually. So one thing I'll say that it's good to start with a low overhead because there are two types. I will say that there are two ways to approach it. One of them is starting with some kind of runway, developing something a bit of financially, and then going into it. That way, you have more runway with it. And if that's not the case, then I always suggest to start small with a very low overhead because even if you can go without luxuries and all, you when you are running a company or startup or something, you have people who depend on you, so you need to be careful that at least you're taking being able to take care of their needs, because even if you can do without yours, you can't have that excuse that you can't use it as an excuse to people who depend on you. So I'll say that it's growing. Fortunately, due to low overhead and stuff, I didn't have much that big of an issue. So, for example, in the COVID period hurt a lot of businesses, and it didn't hurt that much for my segment because it's more of an internet-based segment. The overheads are not that much, and although the marketing efforts went down, but the other essential parts of the branding bits were still needed. So even if the revenue dropped a bit, it didn't vanish out, or we didn't run into losses and stuff. And once again, we are going towards the growth, like the growing has again started, and hopefully this year will be our next milestone and upcoming future growth.
You still did not answer my question. What
Which
kind
one?
of revenue?
Oh, okay.
A rough estimate of your revenue.
Yeah, sure. I'll say that it's somewhere around 10. It varies with the months, but somewhere between 20 to 50, because it's a small, like we're small in terms of numbers, that somewhere less than, we have 4 people at the moment. So the operational law, and we don't have full-time employees at the moment. And it's as a company, it's still in the initial phases. So that's the growth. And we are growing once again.
So, 20, 15, 20, what?
Oh, acha, 22, not 15, 20 to 50, somewhere between that. It varies within the month. It's 1,000.
1,000. Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, next is Mr.
Manash,
Manash.
yeah, definitely. So we bootstrapped, okay, with my friend, me and my friend. So he used to take care of the backend part mostly, and I used to take care of like UI designing, this and that. But yes, we need an Android, I mean application developer as well. So the Android developer we hired from Bhubaneswar only, but that is a freelancer guy. But we used to like work with him, and we used to do. So we that is how we managed. Okay, so whatever our pocket money was there, that we used to manage sometimes, and we used to do. But this 3 months, November 15th to January end actually almost. So this period almost around it would be uh, 83 or 84 days. I'm not very sure about that. I have to check it out. So this that was a POC period, proof of concept period. That time we around 1 lakh 7,000 some change we got revenue complete in that 3 months. And like our average ticket size was around 182 rupees per order, and that too in Bomenahalli area. I mean, a small part of like off Whitefield Road in Bangalore that we got. So that is how we did, and then we stopped and we like sent to our this three and very, I think 200 some change downloads were there. So we sent to them a message that we are posing it here and we'll be come back in May end or June first week because our development is going on. Because we that time we had a very community based application where it shows Udia, choose Udia, Bengali, this that, and clicking there again it will go to the women's I mean the logo, right, brand logos like Miri's Cafe, Manu's Cafe, like that. So it is a fourth fold, requirement for the customer. It was, which is really not good. So we, like gathered all these issues, we gathered all the feedback, then we reinitiated, we recreated the, complete application, and we again May 18th we started again here in Bangalore, and June probably this Monday or July 1st we will be. I mean, Rath Yatra is there. We'll start in Bhubaneswar as well. So that is how I mean the idea is yet.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, a very pious omen time to start your expansion process. All the very best from all of us at Team My Startup Yatra for your endeavor. And coming to my last question, what were the challenges that you faced?
There are a lot. There are a lot. Frankly speaking, it's not too easy to like talk to the women. Okay, that okay, you start like these join us. You will have your good time. This that. Then like I still remember uh, me and my partner used to go there and used to show them the PPT. Okay, it will work like this. It will work like that. So you join us, right? Every 15 days you will get your pay. This that. Then like they will showcase only one item, whatever they will cook for themselves. That the same only they only one or two items they will keep. Then if the order is not going for a day or two, they will start calling. Manas bhai, order didn't come today. Why it's like this? Should I stop it? I mean, they are very, like what? See, uh, I can understand the patience required for every business, but it doesn't mean that like they also should understand that. But yes, but a few people are there. They are very aggressive, and they know this. Yeah, it will take time, and they are with us still. Okay, so almost we onboarded 55 to 60 people in Bangalore, but now we have now 28 people. Those are regular, right? The other people are okay. My kids, like exam is there. I cannot, so I'll take off. But we created, their application, okay, that partner application in a way that they shouldn't ask us. They can take their off directly. They can just disable their, store, and they can go off. Not an issue. I mean, everything is their hand only. Just initially, we need to, like approve their product, approve their store, then they will be online. After that, it's in their hand. So they can play as they want, right? So it is very tough. It is not so easy. And of course, that complete chain when the order will come. Few people, like some days you need to check the orders and you need to check the dashboard and you have to sit like this. Okay, any order shouldn't miss because the customer will kill you there, right? And people are very happy. Customers are very happy because see, 180, 190 rupees may they are getting like complete thing and without any delivery charges, right? So they are very happy because Zomato is torturing them with their fees, okay, delivery fees and all. So they are happy, but at the same time, few of they will not see the notification, few of ourselves, right? They will not see the notification, and 20 minutes it will be there. I'm not getting, like the order got accepted yet. Then I have to call them. Madam, you didn't accept it, the order. What will happen? So we are in worry point, right? I mean that time we're very worried. So they will then tell, oh, yeah, it's came. Okay, I'll do it. Give me another 20 minutes. So this, to create, the mess and like you need to erase these things. It's very tough, and that too. don't mind, please. That taking the women, like lot of women, work with lot of women, it's very tough, very challenging. But yes, few people are there. They are supporting us now, and I'm happy for that.
Very interesting that you are being patient with women because they have their own uh, internal
No, they have lot of
responsibilities.
things. They have lot of things. They have their kid, right? Their husband will go to office, right? Then they have their housemates will come. They will clean the things. They will check also if they're coming or not. So they have bunch of work. We have only one work, right? We're just asking them to do our work, but they have bunch of work. We understand that. Yes.
Very interesting. So, Aditya, the challenges that you faced.
Yeah, sure. One of the challenges that I faced was a bit of mistake of my own because although I had the hard skills behind the services I provide, that's something I would like to believe I'm good at. At least the client says so. But the running a business is not just the services you provide. You have also have to have some bit of knowledge about running the business side of the business. And so I didn't start with a runway. That was a mistake. So that ended up giving some trouble in the COVID days, and sometimes it's not something that the thing with business there's ups and downs in the streams of revenue. So handling that without a runway is a bit difficult. And one more thing is I stay in Bhubaneswar. I like the place, but the problem with the place is the people who get good usually leave the city. There's a brain drain problem with any not the any city outside the first tier cities like the startup hubs and all. It's a common problem everywhere. So that's a bit an issue. And although Bhubaneswar is a growing city, and I I really look forward to the growth of the city because I can see the government is doing a lot in the and I think Odisha won the MSME award for the state thing recently. So I can see they're putting effort, but it still takes time to come in the grassroots level. So people here don't have the understanding of the importance of the services we provide because it's also available in much cheaper prices in the market. Of course, there's a huge difference in the quality, but uh, it takes a little while for people to understand that why the difference in price leads to the difference in quality and stuff like that. And it's okay, we understand, but it also ends up having trouble from our side. That's the main issue. There's one advantage that it's not limited. We're not exactly limited to the place because it's the era of internet. We also work with clients outside of Odisha, outside sometimes outside of India as well. So there's that. It's ups and downs. The main problem is with the uh, lack of affordable talent in the city and lack of understanding of the people of the importance of the services. Because although we like working with outside clients and all, it's nice to have local clients, because you can actually meet them in person and stuff. As I don't have the necessity of meeting people, but meeting people in person has a different kind of touch and having, watching your designs, your services come to life in person, it has a great feeling attached to it. That's not possible on the online field.
Very interesting, Aditya. Very interesting point. I think the world is almost fed up of online. When pandemic was not there, the entire world was fascinating. Work from home, fascinating. It was all fascination. Whether it can happen, there was a lot of international talk about, we should have at least 1 day work from home once a month you know and today we have big giants coming up with ideas that we will work provide our staff a choice from work from home. And even though the firms are saying that we would prefer to have uh, work from home, and to some extent, not completely, but to some extent, um, people are not willing to go in for a work from home mode, because having a personal interaction makes a difference, which I think we did not value pre-pandemic period. So yes, a very important challenge indeed, um, Aditya, that being in a tier 2 or tier 3 city, getting customers is not easy, and to sustain yourself is very difficult. Understandable, but yes, you are still up and on the go for the same. So before we go for a couple of Q&A from our participants, I request everybody to please fill up the feedback forms that have been put up on the chat box, and please join the community of My Startup Yatra. Um, Now we move to the QA session. I request the participants to kindly unmute. We will have only a couple of QA questions from the participants. So I request you to please unmute yourself, start your video, and ask the question directly to the speakers. If you do not have the possibility of unmuting yourself, you can put the question on in the chat box and I'll ask the question. Yes, the forum is open for QA. Quick QA, please.
While we're waiting for questions, I think there's something I want to expand on what you said about the work from home and online culture. There's a pros and cons to everything. With all the losses that the pandemic gave on us, I think the push to online is something that's some bit of good that came out of it. Although not every people is comfortable with the online culture, it it what it does is it makes a lot of things accessible to people. For example, sometimes suppose you are a parent and you have a very young child, like maybe a baby, a toddler, a very young one. In that case, it's very difficult to leave your child at home and go to office. And but when it's work from home, people can handle both together. I know personally people, parents who are doing it, and they are considering, they're saying that probably they will have to resign when the push to coming to office comes to. And at the same time, what happens with online is this is the pro. There's a long list of pro, but I'm just mentioning one of them. One of the cons is when you're working with freshers, in that case it's a bit difficult with the knowledge transfer, with explaining them, teaching the new joinees with the talents and all. It's very easy to work with people who have already a bit of skill developed. For example, I will work with a lot of clients who has never met me in person. They don't have to. They know that I will be providing whatever I said I did, and they can see the past portfolio and they'll say, okay, he knows what he's doing. But when it's working with, suppose in my turn, when I'm working with interns, it's a bit difficult to explain them what they have to do online. Sometimes it's fine, but sometimes meeting someone in person and saying, see, this is how you do it.
I
It's a
think
lot
that
easier.
I think that's that will be on the job nature. I think depend on the job
Yeah,
nature
definitely.
mostly.
As
So few
in
companies,
my
yeah.
Yeah, for example, in your case, like in Manas's case, he cannot deliver a food made in Pune in Bhubaneswar. So there's a bit of limitation in the location. While I can deliver something made in Bhubaneswar to maybe outside India as well. So it's, of course, it feels. For example, the work from culture has the biggest push in the IT sector because they don't really need to be in person to write a code from. They can write a code from completely in the other end of the planet, and that would be fine.
Sure. Nita,
I think
can I show you something? Can I present something?
yes, sure.
I think you should. I mean, you'll get it. What I'm doing exactly, the people will know. 1 minute.
Meanwhile, दादी
Yeah.
आपको कोई क्वेश्चन है? You unmuted in between, so I would just like to know if you have any question. Mr. Dhar? I think Shivraj had also started his video. Do you have any question, Shivraj ji?
Yes, ma'am. I just have one question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, like I have one question like what is the color theory and what is important for clients? Making a design is always important to understand how the colors are important to them. And when you are making a design or graphic, 3D graphic design, so what are the content maybe you follow, or there are some specific rules you should go with?
I think this question is applicable to both of you.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Manas, or should I go first?
Okay. Let me tell. Then I think Aditya can take care of it mostly because I like quit designing from 8 years. Last 8 years I'm not doing. But anyway, I'll let you know.
I
I
I
think
would
it's concept
suggest
basis. Yeah.
you were showing us something. So if you could just show that and then explain, it would be wonderful.
Okay.
I
Not an issue.
think yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's also fine.
yeah. But a quick one, please, because
Yeah.
we are
Sure.
running out of time.
Sure. So this is what our product is. You can see here schedule, timing, and also minutes time in food. This is your daily food ordering, and also we the same time we used to do the products, right? No preservative and handmade products, homemade products. This is how it is. And Smita, this is one I was talking about. In this proof of concept period, we created 30 plus brands, and these are all from Bangalore.
Wonderful. I think that proof of concept logo is very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
this
I
I have
was
created this.
fascinated to
Yes.
see that. It's
Yeah.
very beautiful. I think, Shivraj, your
Yeah.
question is to
Please.
some extent
Yes.
answered by him. And Aditya, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, sure. But uh, I mean, Manas showed the answer in a way, but he didn't get a chance to say
It's
something. Like
okay.
I
You
think
can you can
it's
you can
okay.
tell.
Sure.
I think you got it. What
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
trying to
got
say.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to color theory does has an important role in design because people have is usually habituated to associate colors with something, some color with something. A common example would be, the color blue. If I use my branding as an example, then I'm trying to convey trust and a friendly vibe. So I'm using the color blue and gray for that. Uh, but when it comes to, for example, green is usually associated with sustainability. This is just an example. But when you are approaching color theory, there are two ways to do. One of them you have to keep in mind is the color you're using can be used to use the way people associate with the color to help them make a choice that this is something related to whatever the person is associating the color with. Um, and then what it comes is, while color theory is being used, what happens is sometimes the places get completely saturated. So in that case, a different approach is using a bit of tweak in the color theory so that you can differentiate the brand or the design you're working on from the competitors. So these are the two options you can approach the color theory with. And which one you choose is a bit of a specific thing. There's no general answer to that. But these are the two ways you should approach the color theory.
Color
Wonderful.
actually color actually gives the statement of yours. What
Yeah.
kind of color you are using? If it is very vibrant or very loud or very what do you say, peaceful or very natural, right? So all these things comes from the color itself.
I think today's session was a session wherein, हमारी चाय की गपशप, कॉफी की गपशप खत्म ना हो ऐसा लग रहा है. लेकिन the thing is that every beautiful thing has to stop somewhere to begin again, right? So
Definitely.
before we close, I would request our speakers to share uh, their message for everybody.
Sure. Uh, Look, my message to like the people, or my, I can say the juniors or the young people, right? Like say Aditya is one of the proof, right? He started his own, right? So I'm not telling that everybody to start their own, but yes, everybody is to be capable of doing something, and they should depend on like the job. I have seen the people, can't imagine. I have seen the people from Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar, a lot of people coming to Bangalore, right? And and it's not like they are less educated, right? They are graduates, and so they are doing the security job, this, that they are doing, but they're not trying anything else. So what I'm trying to say is here, do yourself something. Okay, do not really depend on others, that देर इज एक मतलब कहावत है, जब तक खुद को मतलब चोट ना पहुंचे लोग नहीं करता है, राइट? तो ये चीज, this feeling should be there. The people must understand this. They shouldn't depend on any government job or any private job. Job is job, naukri is naukri, right? Sometimes you need to end it up, right? So start doing something yours. And I can see there are a lot of skills are there, people. I recently we got into the AIM automation innovation, right? And I have seen the students coming with the coming up with the ideas like I have never thought of it. So the people, young generation has lot of skills, lot of thoughts, lot of concepts. Just give those to the color, right? And definitely the world will be beautiful, and we can have the better India ever. We can generate the employment, not the government. This is my message.
Wonderful, wonderful message, sir. Coming to Aditya.
Yeah, sure. Before I answer that question, I want to share the screen to expand on the last question. Just I want to give an example so that you can understand better. Just a second. So I'm showing two color palettes. Okay. For example, this palette is for a event company. So as you can see that it's a very vibrant palette. And since it's an event company, what I did, it associated the colors with the event. Events are, happening thing. It's a fun thing. Uh, so that's the excitement that we are using the color palette to express. Happy, fun, excitement. At the same time, this is another color palette which is for a IT company. What they're doing is they're generating a workflow kind of SaaS product. SaaS is a software as a service, in case you don't know. So they're approaching more of a corporate vibe, but not a boring one. So you can see the colors are less vibrant here, but they're not exactly boring. So these are the all the both are different color palettes. They are approaching the mindset of two different segments, so that the audience of these two different brands have a expectation of what the brand is. So this is just an example. I feel this will illustrate the answer I have given earlier better. Uh,
Wonderful, wonderful. Your message, Aditya?
yeah, my message definitely. So as I can see, the most of our audience here is sorry, it got automatically connected. The audience here is mostly the young audience, and I guess most of you are in college or very young adults, like just outside of college. There are two. What Mr. Manash said is completely true. So I don't want to repeat that. I'll just expand on that. Besides that, I would like to you to do. College is a very safe space. Besides learning whatever you are learning, you have a safe space to experiment on the side, and that's something you should take a huge advantage of. You don't have direct responsibilities at the moment, so you should, if you have interest in developing a startup, start working on it on the side. What will happen then is you will get a proof of concept whether it will work or not. And there's a saying I came across recently and I really loved it. It's from a podcast, and the person said that if what you're doing, if you cannot do it on the side, you probably cannot do it full time. So do whatever you want to do on the side, get a concept that whether it's growing or not, whether it's growing at a scale that you can jump into it directly or not. And once you do it in a safe space, just do it. And as Manash said, why run after jobs when you can create jobs? and
Definitely.
probably will also be able to solve problems of the society. uh, it's something I believe a lot in, that the right businesses can solve problems, and a part of the startup ecosystem is about solving problems. That's one of the main reasons I'm into startup, because you can have a life. There's nothing wrong with a job. You can also make a contribution to the society through jobs. But if you want to solve a problem directly, the best way to do it is by turning it into a viable business.
Thank you very much, both of you, for being present here today. I would like to thank our partners today. We are powered by Niti Aayog, Atal Innovation Mission, GIETU, ACIC, GIETU, University Gunapur. We are partnered by Atal Innovation Incubation Center, Beer Garage, Accelerators, our parent body, naloxone, our co-body, early bird, and enabling ideas. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here today for our coffee break Saturday. Yes, we extended by a few minutes, but I think the discussion was very interesting. Um, I would request again all of you to kindly please fill the feedback forms. It matters for us. Your feedback actually makes us better. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day ahead. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye. Namaskar.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I request the organizing team to close the meet.